gentlemen, welcome back into our studio. Welcome to this first edition of Coach's Corner this year. Once again, I'm Cody Vetter, and I am joined by none other than head men's football coach, Coach Scott Benzel. Coach, how was your summer? It's been a while. Glad to have you back.
Yeah, they didn't get rid of me yet, Cody. Summer's been really good. Got a chance, like I was talking to you about, watching my son play a bunch of different sports, and particularly your sport, baseball, and it was awesome. I had a great summer. But I'm glad to be back, and it's fall. It's football. It's
football time. So speaking of football time, I kind of want to just hit on the off-season camp, how that's been going. I feel like it kind of gets looked over, as fans or even as parents. Don't really know what's going on during camp because it's not broadcasted. Nobody really sees what's going on. So can you kind of talk to me about how that's been going, what you guys have been up to?
Yeah, camp's been an interesting process this year just because of the way the schedule has worked itself out. Guys had a good camp. We grinded. We started off with a leadership development group that came in for high-level military guys, took our guys through 48 hours of field exercises, and we learned a lot about preparation and learning a lot about teamwork, and I was really excited about that. I think it's carried us through camp, to be quite honest with you. I told the guys yesterday, at this point, you usually want to kill each other because you haven't had a chance to play. I think we had that moment on Tuesday. We kind of learned from it, scaled some things down Wednesday, and, we're relatively healthy, knock on wood. We've got some really good talent. We put the work in, and we're ready to play.
Yeah, so, you guys have been here for a while now, too, and can you talk to me a little bit about what maybe you have looked at from the past year or maybe even two that you're kind of implementing into this year in camp and kind of maybe changing some things from last year or trying to do things any differently than last year?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Being introspective, you try to continue to do a better job of getting your players prepared. That's our responsibility as coaches. Players still have to go out and play. I mentioned some of the leadership piece of it, the culture piece of it. I think it is really important for us. Not that we haven't had good teammates and good leaders in the past. We just have had a lot of turnover at the top end. We just leaned heavily on those veterans that we've had the last few years that are now gone. So you got to reinvent it. You got to get some new guys engaged. So some of the things that maybe we've changed, we're a little more simple, I know, on our side of the ball. Defensively, we've taken a lot of pride in being a really multiple group. That's just didn't work for us a year ago. We threw too much at our guys, so we've scaled things down there. On offensively, I think our biggest challenge is we had a returning offensive line group, so we were ahead of the game, I think, offensively. So we've put a lot in. Offensively, we've probably got more concepts than I've seen in a long time, so I feel really confident that we're going to be prepared.
So obviously you guys this year didn't get the luck of the draw. You got that first week bye. Kind of just want to hit on that. What does that do for you guys as a unit, and how difficult is that to kind of navigate through a first week bye when you want to be out there playing, but you kind of got to wait that extra week? Can you kind of just walk me through that, what you guys have been doing to get prepared for your opening game this weekend?
Yeah, I don't think a draw had anything to do with it. I think we were purposely picked to have a bye week in the first week, and it gets me fired up. I like to work a little bit in the position of emotion. I think it helps carry us. So I believe that was done on purpose. I hope our guys understand that. I think we are a flagship of this league, and I still believe that. But we got to go prove it. So the challenge is real. You're in a camp environment for a month. You look at our league a week ago, all the top teams played all the bottom teams. I don't understand how that's random. I think that was, again, something that puts a little extra incentive into us. But we got to go out and play, regardless. We got to march 10 straight weeks through this league, and it's a tough league, and it's going to be very, very physical. But we'll be tested, and I have to do my best to make sure that I can read the tea leaves and keep guys fresh and, make sure that we're pushing the right buttons.
When you kind of face a challenge like that, because it's not easy to have that first week bye. You guys are just going to go straight through, rip through the whole season.
I've never seen it, Cody.
Yeah, so can you talk to me, how are you going to try to flip that into something positive to come out on top of the pack this year?
Well, if you can't sense the fact that I want to jump across the table, I think you understand where that comes from. So there is a little bit of an extra motivation, a little chip that, it's the Titans versus the league, and I'm okay with it. I'm not saying it to be a jerk, or I'm just saying that to be real, to be successful in a grind, you've got to figure out ways to to play for more than just your 10-game schedule. But every week is a season. Every week counts. Every game is important. Whether you're playing the top team, the bottom team, whether you have a bye week or not, it's going to be based on performance. You got to go out and execute it. But we'll make sure that we address the issue that by midway through this season, we're going to give guys a little extra rest.
I kind of want to just hit on a couple players. First off, Ty McGowan. He's been kind of a staple for the Titans for the past couple of years. Started as in his freshman year and last year, obviously, as a sophomore. Now he's an upperclassman. You've always talked to me about how great of a leader he is. How can you look to improve his leadership, even though it's already really good? Now he's an upperclassman. How has he been improving that leadership role? He's
more vocal. He needs to be more vocal. He's a leader by example, and that term, as we've kind of explored and flushed it out, it's not necessarily a great term. Lead by example means you're going to do the things that are expected of you. What we need is what more. And Ty has taken that role, and he's done a really good job of it. You got to get out of your comfort zone. Some guys aren't always very vocal. Ty isn't an overly vocal young guy, but he's done a nice job of addressing that, and I'm really proud of him. I really am.
And I just want to hit on Ty Elam and Ryan Gomes, obviously huge pieces of your offense. Ty had that injury last year, was out for the whole season, kind of missed him in that receiver role. Then Ryan Gomes coming back again this year. He's been a huge running back for you the past couple of years. Kind of talk about how important those guys and what role they're going to play this year for your offense.
Yeah, Ty is he's a human energy machine. I love that little dude. He's just energy. He can create excitement, and he can make plays, and we missed him a year ago. So we're excited to have him back. Ryan is just, you set your watch to him. You know what you're getting with Ryan Gomes. Ryan's going to be the most prepared guy out there. He's going to do everything that he needs to do to help this team win. The challenge right there is we lose Ryan for the first 2 games due to some unfortunate incident that happened with us a year ago with Carnegie Mellon. So we're going to have to lean on some other guys. But the thing with Ryan is he's still going to have an impact because of who he is and how he practices.
And Coach, I'm going to ask you one final question. Obviously, you're going to be home this weekend. First game of the year. It's going to be awesome, but you know what's coming. The 3 keys to victory against Waynesburg here at home. What's your mentality looking like and all that?
Yeah, fast start. You got to come out swinging. So that's a big important part of us. We've got to minimize our emotion. However, as the game sort of progresses, because you don't want to quote unquote shoot your cannon and then not have anything left. So sustain energy. We got to get off to a really good start. The big play piece of this is huge. I believe the team that makes the most big plays and gives up the least amount of big plays will ultimately be successful. And then the final part of it is we're going to make mistakes because it is an opening game. Just play. Don't worry about it. It happens. We'll be a much better team week 1 going into week 2. I promise you. But our first game, it happens. I don't care if you're in the NFL or in high school. There's nerves. There's an ability to kind of work through those things, and our guys need to do that.
Coach, unfortunately, that's all the time we have. I appreciate you being back with me here. Good luck this weekend.
Yeah, Cody, thanks. Go Titans.
Stay tuned here on Coach's Corner for a great show. Got a lot of stuff coming up. Be right back.
This broadcast is brought to you in part by Pizza Joe's in New Wilmington, offering pizza, stromboli and calzones, subs, wings, and salads. Pizza Joe's open 7 days a week, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. at 209 South Market Street in New Wilmington.
Heading into your junior year, you've already played in some high-pressure situations in your career, such as the W&J game in 2022 we just mentioned. Can you share 1 or 2 specific in-game situations that you've been able to learn and grow from since taking the reins of the offense as a freshman?
Yeah, I think dating back to that game, pretty early being in that game, thrown into that game, I threw a costly interception. Led to W&J being able to get some points. And as a young guy, that's tough because, you're in your head maybe because you just threw your first interception, all that. But they showed confidence in me. Next drive, one of the next couple drives, we went down the field, primarily throwing the ball. And we ended up scoring a touchdown, gave ourselves a better shot to win the game. Unfortunately, we didn't. And then another one, I'd say opening up with Grove City last year is really big, not just for me, but for our team. Really helps you understand how important off-season preparation is, especially those couple weeks of camp and scrimmage if you have one before that week. So I think those are 2 situations that has really helped me.
Following your sophomore season, you were picked as honorable mention All-PAC selection. What have you done this summer to concentrate on getting better? How do you feel, or what areas have you grown the most in over the last year, year and a half?
I think quarterback's a mental position, so I think getting a step ahead, trying to understand what defenses are doing to us, looking at film from last year, trying to get on the same page as the rest of the offensive staff is going to be crucial for us from quarterback to staff. I think just the mental part of it, and then also throughout the spring, I had the opportunity to try and lead the guys and really push them, even though I wasn't able to participate, like you said, similar to as a coach. I just tried to be a motivator on the sidelines.
As a quarterback, your best friends can be the offensive line, and you have 5 offensive linemen returning with various levels of starting experience, including a pair of 2023 honorable mention All-PAC selections in senior guard Matt Howard and sophomore tackle Braden Micah. Talk a little about what you've seen from this group during your time together and how they can be a strength for the program.
Yeah, I think all 5 of those guys, especially those 2 that you highlighted, they love the game of football. I think continuity is huge, especially for offensive line. We've talked about it as a football team, but I think for offensive lines, that's huge. They love the game, but also they love their teammates. So I think that them going out there every day with smiles on their faces, showing their teammates that they're going to come out here and they're going to be the most unselfish group on the field really affects them and helps them play better, but it also influences the teammates.
This broadcast is brought to you in part by Gilliland's Market, offering quality meats and groceries at 109 South Market Street in New Wilmington, Pennsylvania. Gilliland's Market, open Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5, Friday 9 to 6, and Saturday 9 to 3, closed on Sundays. This broadcast is brought to you in part by Ed & Jerry's Auto Service, 275 North Market Street in New Wilmington, offering auto repair, maintenance, and towing services since 1964. Ed & Jerry's Auto Service, open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
And welcome back to another edition of Coach's Corner. I'm RJ Scott here with fifth-year tight end Alex Shaughnessy. Alex, how we doing?
Good, RJ. Thank you for having me.
And, bye week already passed us, going into this week with Waynesburg. What would be the mentality going into Waynesburg after a week went by in camp,
Yeah, week 1 bye isn't the most usual thing that a team might have going into the season, but this extra week has kind of helped us prepare on our sides of the ball, both sides, offense and defense. But I think the mentality is we're going to go in and attack from the first snap to the very last snap and really show not just Waynesburg but the entire pack what we're all about.
Yeah, and, as we saw beginning the first week, all the higher teams played the weaker teams, and, we saw that. And so do you think there's a little bit of a pressure, in a sense, for offense to put a lot of points on Waynesburg since we saw those blowouts previously?
I think we're just going to play our game. Our main idea and main mentality is to score, so we're going to do that as many times as possible and light up that scoreboard. But, we're going to do the best we can and show out on Saturday.
And with that being said, a young team last year, kind of got some guys gelled. What changes should we see this year, offense and defense, just overall as a team?
I think a sense of maturity. Coach Benzel spoke earlier about the academy and the program coming in and kind of showing us what leadership and being good teammates is all about. So I feel like from top to bottom, you're going to see a sense of a better team, a better sense of community within our team. So we're going to gel a lot better on both sides of the ball.
And speaking of community, speaking of a team, you got to play with some championship pack teams. You got to play with a lot of, older guys that graduated, unfortunately, like Chevy Dawson, Damon Mall. What could you take from them and give to the younger guys, especially as a tight end in your room, especially a lot of young tight ends? What could you give to them?
Yeah, I was really blessed to be able to share the field with both Damon and Chevy. Both guys have shown me a lot from their own perspective on their different ways to play the game. But I think the thing that I need to show these younger guys is to be good players on the field and great players or great men off the field too.
100%. And that starts with little things, like you said, going back to the program. That that being said in the camp, they taught you guys a lot about discipline, about being accountable, setting the standard, as they say. Would you say that camp and that program stuff was going to help that off the field stuff as well?
Oh, 100%. I feel like it's already happening right now. A lot of the guys are staying on their P's and Q's, even during lifting times. We got 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. lifts. That's really early times for our guys, but I think we're holding each other accountable and make sure we're doing the right things in and out of the classroom.
100%. And so, going back to the schedule and, let's go back to, the preseason rankings. We were ranked 5th. Westminster was ranked 5th, going into the season. what's the mindset with that? Because, Westminster, a premier team in the pack, as an older guy, what does that say to you?
Oh, it's a really big chip on my shoulder. Coming in my first year here, we were pack champions coming off a pack win in the spring and pack win in the fall. And to be ranked 5th in the pack my last year here is a real slap in the face. So we're going to show teams what we're all about from week 1 to the very last week.
Yeah, and, speaking of those last few weeks, tough back end of the schedule with Case Western, CMU, Grove City, and even Geneva's in there. I mean, Geneva not being the toughest, but they definitely bring their A game. What can we say about that back end of the schedule?
We're going to take it week by week. Coach Benzel always likes to say every week's a season, so we're going to take it game by game and give or take whatever they give us. So.
Yeah, and just to conclude, if you could give a piece of advice for future Titans and just for this team going into this weekend, Hall of Fame weekend, big weekend, home game, what would it be? Would it be to stay cool, stay calm, stay on your P's and Q's?
I would say something that both Coach Benzel and my dad have kind of told me throughout my life is be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's the only way you can grow as a player and as a person.
And you definitely know a lot about that, especially like I forgot to mention earlier, transferring from a D1 school coming here, you know what it's like to be uncomfortable in a sense and go into a new environment. So, with that being said, that is all for today, Alex. Well, up next is Jordan Tate with Coach Gears Takar here on Coach's Corner. Very much.
As fans, you always show up big.
You drive hours to away games.
Brave 0-degree weather.
You go all out.
Now, it's time to show up just as big for our country.
And that starts with registering to vote.
The average time to register is literally 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
It's not just our game that needs us.
Our country and local communities do too.
Let's get it.
Welcome to the PAC Football Report, covering Week 2 games of the 2024 season on September 14th. I'm Jack Mickle. This week, we will take a quick look back at the opening weekend on the gridiron in the President's Athletic Conference last week, while also previewing Week 2 games this Saturday. 4 PAC football powers, all of whom are receiving national top 25 votes, rolled to impressive Week 1 victories. Defending champion and number 10 ranked Grove City shut out rival Geneva 41-0, while number 21 ranked Carnegie Mellon also blanked Teal 58-0. Washington Jefferson 59-6, while Case Western Reserve won at Waynesburg 41-7. The game of the week took place at Bethany as Allegheny improved to 1-0 by edging the homestanding Bison 20-14. PAC Player of the Week honors in Week 1 went to W&J senior QB Jacob Pugh on offense after 6 TD passing performance. Bethany Junior defensive end Amarian Williams on defense with 15 stops, including 5.5 for loss and 3 sacks versus Allegheny. And junior kicker/punter Devin Wyant of W&J on special teams, going 8 for 8 on extra points and averaging 41.5 yards per punt. Top newcomer was Bethany freshman QB Brett Phillips with 2 touchdown passes and a team-high 87 yards rushing. Westminster, which had the opening weekend off, opens its 2024 season at home at Harold Burry Stadium in New Wilmington, as the Titans host 0-1 Waynesburg at 1 p.m. Westminster has won 8 of the last 10 meetings with the Yellow Jackets, including a 31-20 victory last season. Drawing the Week 1 bye in 2024 has been challenging, says veteran Titan head coach Scott Benzel, putting his team at a disadvantage heading into Saturday's contest.
They have a big advantage. They've played a Week 1 game, so I expect them to play their best game. They're very physical. They're always well coached, and we're going to have to play a really clean football game, which is, again, challenging because this is our opening game, and there's some nerves associated with that. We've got a lot of new faces in our lineups, too.
Allegheny looks to improve to 2-0 as the Gators welcome 0-1 St. Vincent to Frank Fuhrer Field in Meadville at 1 p.m. The teams played a nail-biter in Latrobe a year ago, with the Bearcats edging the Gators 23-19 to take a 2-1 lead in the all-time series. Second-year Allegheny head coach Braden Layer talks about the importance of getting an opening week win under his team's belt.
It is not easy to win a college football game, and it's even more difficult to win one on the road. So to get that done in Week 1, it was a whiteout for them. There was a lot of excitement and energy down there in West Virginia. Extremely pleased with our guys finding a way to come back 1-0. That's ultimately the goal. The number one goal every single week on our goal board is win the scoreboard by +1 or more.
0-1 Teal looks to rebound from its Week 1 loss by hosting another conference heavy hitter as the Tomcats host 1-0 Washington and Jefferson under the lights at Alumni Stadium in Greenville at 7 p.m. It's the 77th all-time meeting between the programs dating back to 1896. W&J has dominated the series with wins in 40 of the past 41 matchups since 1982, with the lone Tomcat win at that time being a 38-35 victory in Washington and Teal's PAC title season of 2005. Third-year Tomcat head coach Sam Ballman previews the matchup against W&J.
Coaching staff schemes you up. I know it's a new staff, but they did some really good things against St. Vincent. That hasn't taken a step back. So, they find the weakness, they find areas that they can challenge you, and they do it. And they get alignments matched up well. They do some stuff that, you watch the game after, you're like, yeah, that's just really good coaching.
In other Week 2 PAC action, 1-0 Carnegie Mellon kicks off its home opener at Gessling Stadium in Pittsburgh at 1 p.m. against 0-1 Geneva. The series dates back to 1907 with the Tartans holding a 24-7-1 all-time series lead over the Golden Tornadoes, including a 31-0 shutout victory in 2023. Finally, Case Western Reserve hosts its home opener under the DeSanto Field lights in Cleveland at 7 p.m. as the 1-0 Spartans host 0-1 Bethany. The Bison lead the all-time series 14-9, but Case has won 8 straight meetings against Bethany, with the last Bison win over the Spartans being a 25-14 final in Cleveland during the 2014 season. That's all for this edition of the PAC Football Report. Log on to the conference website at www.pacathletics.org all season long for the latest news, scores, statistics, and other league information. You can also follow us on social media via X, Facebook, and Instagram. Links are available at the PAC website. I'm Jack Mickle. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you at the stadium.
Football is the game of life, and it brings a community together. White, black, boys, girls.
Flag, tackle. Football can revive communities. That's why I think, football is on the right path.
Community with football is very accepting and loving to people who enjoy the sport. Win or lose, they do it as a family.
Welcome back to Coach's Corner, everyone. My name's Jordan Tate, and today I'm joined with men's and women's soccer head coach Gareth Takar. Coach, how are you doing today?
Good, thanks. Thanks for
It's awesome to have you. I'm sure everyone in the athletic world at Westminster is also glad to have you. In your career, since co-coaching both teams starting in 2002, you have racked up over 530 wins and 11 conference titles, most impressive of which happened in the early 2000s. You won 8 conference titles in 6 years between the two. And in your first 3 years as the women's head coach, you won 3 straight conference titles. And I just need to ask you, and I think everyone wants to know also, how did you get into the role of being the head coach for both women's and men's?
It was actually just one of those things that happened. I was coaching the men's team, and sometime just prior to just preseason 2002, the athletic director called me and said, hey, the coach that was returning is not returning anymore, and would you be able to coach the team, the women's team, just for the season, as it was going to be difficult to find someone, at that late period of the season. So I just did it for basically thinking they would be for 1 year. I was coaching men's soccer and track at that time at Westminster. So then at the end of the season, we ended up winning the conference title, went to the NCAA tournament. We did really well. And they offered me the opportunity of giving up my track position to be the women's coach as well. So that's been basically going on for 22 years now.
That's incredible, Coach. You've done amazing things here at Westminster, and we can pivot to today now. We'll start with the men's team. Last season, obviously, some unfortunate bounces didn't end the way you guys probably wanted to. How do you come back this season? I know it's already started. You're a couple weeks in. How do you rebound and become one of the best teams in the pack again?
So, last year was kind of tough for us because we had 5 or 6 conference games where sometimes we were in the lead and then we gave up that lead late in the game. I don't know if it was just experience or just having the right players playing, et cetera. But this year we brought up a good class in of freshmen. There's a lot more competition. I think we're going to be able to carry through the game, with bringing players off the bench. It's going to keep that momentum going. And we've been just taking it one game at a time, but the players know that the games are going to be tough. Every game in the conference is going to be tough. but we just want to continue through the whole game and play the 90 minutes.
Absolutely. That kind of brings me to my next question. You were mentioning bringing in a good class. Last season, you lost some key players, including goaltender Jaj Dahala. How do you kind of replace those key players and keep the momentum going?
So yeah, I mean, like losing Jad, who had been playing for 3 years consistently, it's always tough to find someone else that's going to take over. But we've got 3 players, actually, goalkeepers that are really kind of pushing for starting position. They're all good players. They're all going to contribute to the program this year. I think it's just a matter of experience for them because it's the first year they're really playing. But I think they'll do well for us.
Absolutely. We can switch on to the girls team. You guys won the PAC championship in 2022. Congratulations for that. And last season, you guys came up just short in the semifinals. And you guys also lost a key player in Chloe La Rosa. She's no longer at Westminster. How do you tend to change that and replace her as well and other key players that might have graduated?
The 2 players, actually, Sophia that we lost was our captain and probably our best defensive player that we've had for a long time. So we basically lost 2 key players. One, the best offensive player, and then the other was the best defensive player. So losing those 2 players are going to be crazy to make up, you know. But someone's going to have to step up. You know, we know that. We know that someone has to have to start scoring some goals that Chloe did for us last year. And then someone has to step up at the back and be a strong defensive player. You know, we don't really believe in like kind of rebuilding. We always think about someone's there, they're going to step in, the next person in line gets up, you know. And so that's what we're kind of looking at.
Absolutely. So you talk about the next man stepping up. It's kind of like a motivational thing for players, I imagine. So what do you kind of tell your players if you're going into halftime, you're maybe down a goal or 2? What's your motivation to your players to keep them on track and come back into the game?
So, you know, when I'm coaching the teams, I make it very simple. I'm not a rah-rah coach, you know, and, you know, we look at tactically what we're doing, what we can be doing, what we're not doing very well, and what advantages can we get to change that at halftime. We know that, you know, sometimes in soccer, because there's no timeout, so, you know, it's hard to make those changes on the fly, you know. So halftime is a time that we can really, like, okay, this is what's going on, this is what they did, they've changed the way they play a little bit from the last film that we saw. So we make those changes at halftime. So sometimes it's a matter of just getting through to halftime and then, okay, let's regroup, this is what we're doing well. And sometimes we're doing well and can we continue that and get better for the second half?
Absolutely. Obviously, every head coach's goal is to win the championship and everything, but what are some things you kind of want to see in both the men's and women's team this year, whether it's progress or accolades or anything?
So, you know, obviously, we have the same goals every year, you know, regardless of how good we are, you know, or coming in and what they rank us as and things like that. We always say our first and foremost thing is to get ourselves in the playoffs, you know. Then our second thing is to get ourselves into top 2 if we can, so we can have home advantage in the playoff games. And then the third thing would be once we get there, then we can make a run if we can for the championship games. But, you know, that's kind of the way we look at it every year. It's not just a matter of saying it. We know that because there's so much parity in the league. You know, you really can't count anything until you start winning those games and start moving your way up. But last year, like you mentioned earlier on, we had a lot of close games for the men's team. So there are some kind of revenge games coming up in those games. The women, you know, we always have the target on our back. We have chosen to be second in our league, and I think a lot of people expect us to do well. But, you know, you still have to play those games.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, that's going to wrap it up for this session of Coach's Corner. I thank you a lot for coming out.
You're welcome.
And this is going to wrap it up for this episode of Coach's Corner. Make sure to tune in next week at the same time. Thank you all for tuning in.